Yo, what's good, Panther Nation? Sit down, drop everything, because what Bryce Young, the #1 overall pick of the 2023 NFL Draft, the 24-year-old kid the Carolina Panthers traded the entire future to acquire, the quarterback whose career is officially at the crossroads, just did in the post-game press conference at the brand new Highmark Stadium in Buffalo is the most emotional, most desperate, most career-defining moment I have ever seen from a young quarterback in modern NFL history. Bryce Young just went 3 for 5 for 18 yards. 18. He led his offense to 3 straight 3-and-outs. His starting Panthers offense combined for 11 yards of total offense in 3 series against a Bills starting defense playing at 60%. 11. And when Bryce Young walked into that press room after that game, he did not give the polite, "we've got a lot to work on" answer. He walked in with fire in his eyes, sat down at the microphone, and delivered one of the most explosive, most controversial, most defiant press conferences of the 2026 preseason. He attacked Dave Canales. He attacked the front office. He attacked the media. He named names. And he made a decision about his future that is going to shake this franchise to its core. Let me walk you through every single word, because this might be the day the Bryce Young era in Carolina officially begins to end. Real quick, that like button pushes this video to every Panthers fan across America. 1 second. Massive impact, smash it now. Every like matters. Context. The Carolina Panthers just lost 29-14 to the Buffalo Bills in the very first game ever played at Buffalo's new $2.1 billion Highmark Stadium. But the score is not the story. The story is what happened offensively for Carolina. Bryce Young started at quarterback. He got 3 series. He went 3 for 5 for 18 yards. His offense went 3-and-out on every single drive, combined 11 yards of total offense. Meanwhile, Josh Allen went 6 for 8 for 111 yards with a touchdown pass in his 2 drives. It was a nationally televised humiliation, and the Panthers had sat Bryce Young in the Hall of Fame game on August 6th against Arizona, where backup Andy Dalton led them to a 33-30 win, specifically to give Bryce this preseason opener as his showcase moment to prove he still deserves to be the QB1. Instead, he laid an EGG, and every single national analyst piled on within minutes. Stephen A. Smith, Skip Bayless, Colin Cowherd, all of them. Bryce Young is a bust. The Panthers should draft their next quarterback in 2027. It's time to move on. That was the narrative that was forming in real time as he was walking to the press conference. The first question came from Joe Person, the veteran Panthers beat writer for The Athletic. Joe asked, "Bryce, 3-and-out on all 3 series, 18 total passing yards. Walk us through what happened out there tonight." And Bryce looked at Joe with red eyes. You could see he had been crying, or close to it, but his voice was hard, angry hard. "Joe, what happened tonight is exactly what has happened for 3 years in this building. I got no help, zero help. My offensive line couldn't hold a block for 2 seconds. My route concepts had my receivers not even getting off the line of scrimmage against press coverage. My protection scheme against a blitz-happy Bills defense broke down on every single 3rd down. And when the entire operation around me fails, the media and the fans and Stephen A. Smith and Skip Bayless make it my fault every time for 3 years, because that's the story that sells clicks. Bryce Young is a bust. Well, I'm here tonight to tell everyone, I am not the bust. This organization is the bust, and I am done being the scapegoat for their failures. Bro, the room stopped, because Bryce Young does not talk like this. Bryce Young is the polite Alabama kid who takes every hit with quiet dignity. Bryce Young apologizes to fans on Twitter after bad games. Bryce Young defers to coaches. And in his first sentence of the year's first post-game press conference, he just torched his entire organization on national television. He called the Panthers the bust. He said he's done being the scapegoat. That is a 5-alarm fire for owner David Tepper and GM Dan Morgan. Joe Person respectfully pushed. He said, "Bryce, are you saying the Panthers organization has failed you?" And Bryce's answer here was one for the ages. "Joe, I'm saying I got drafted in April 2023 to a Carolina Panthers team that traded away multiple first-round picks and Pro Bowl receiver DJ Moore to move up and select me. Since then, I've had, count them with me, 3 offensive coordinators, 3 head coaches in a 2.5-year span. My rookie season, my starting receivers were Adam Thielen at age 33 and DJ Chark and Terrace Marshall. That was the receiver room. Then in 2024, they benched me for Andy Dalton after 2 games. 2 games. Then Andy got hurt. I came back, and they didn't fire the head coach who benched me until after I got back in. Then last offseason, they finally fired Dave Canales. Wait, no, they kept Dave Canales. That's who I'm playing for right now. Sorry, I misspoke. Then the receiver they finally signed to give me help was Tedaroa McMillan out of the draft, who's a rookie who doesn't even play tonight. So let me just look at the math with you, Joe. My franchise has failed to build any of the pieces around me that number 1 overall picks routinely get. And when I don't perform at an MVP level with a bottom 5 offensive line and a bottom 5 receiving core and my 3rd offensive coordinator in 3 years, somehow that's evidence that Bryce Young can't play. Please, come on. Anybody with football eyes can see what's actually happening here. Whoa, Bryce Young just literally listed his grievances point by point on national television. Multiple first-round picks traded, DJ Moore traded, 3 offensive coordinators, 2 head coaches. Ancient receivers, never any support, and he did it with the precise recall of a lawyer at a closing argument. That is a devastating public case against the Carolina Panthers front office, and Dan Morgan and David Tepper are going to have to answer for every single word of it by Monday morning. Sheena Quick from WBTV asked the follow-up. She said, "Bryce, you mentioned Dave Canales is your coach now. How is your relationship with him?" And Bryce's answer here was, honestly, brutal. Dave and I are working on it. I'll be honest, Dave came in last year with a plan to build me up, and I bought in fully. I did everything he asked, but we're 1 year into our relationship, and the results have not been what we hoped. Tonight is proof of that. 11 yards of total offense with the starters. That's on the head coach as much as it's on me. Actually, that's on the head coach more than it's on me. Because scheming an offense against Buffalo's front 7 for a preseason opener is the head coach's job. And what we ran tonight, the play calls, the protections, the concepts, did not work. Not on 1 snap, not on 1 drive, not for 11 total yards. So Dave and I have a lot of honest conversations coming this week. Because if the plan we ran tonight is the plan for week 1, we are going to have a very long season. Very long. Y'all, he just held Dave Canales accountable publicly. Bryce Young, the guy who spent last season publicly praising Canales at every opportunity, just told the entire NFL world that the offensive scheme is broken and the head coach has to fix it. That is the kind of quote that either fires up a coaching staff or fractures the coach-QB relationship beyond repair. And with Canales already on the hot seat after a 5-12 season in 2025, this quote from his franchise QB just made his job security officially dire. But the worst moment for Panther Nation came next, because Joe Person asked the question. He said, "Bryce, David Tepper has a reputation for being an impatient owner. If this season doesn't work out, do you worry about your future in Carolina?" And Bryce Young paused. Really paused. Like 10 seconds. And then he said something that shocked every reporter in the building. "Joe, I'm going to give you the most honest answer I can give. I want to be a Carolina Panther for the rest of my career." That's what I signed up for on draft night, but I also have to acknowledge the reality of my situation. I am on the final guaranteed year of my rookie contract. The Panthers have a 5th-year option decision to make on me next May, and based on the trajectory of my performance and the roster construction around me, I have to be honest with myself and with the fans. That 5th-year option is not a certainty. It's absolutely not. And if the Panthers choose not to pick up my option, I will be a free agent for the first time in my career at 25 years old. And I want to be very clear, if that's the direction this franchise decides to go, I will have 0 hard feelings, but I will also have plenty of options. There are teams in this league that would love to have a 25-year-old former number 1 overall pick with 3 years of NFL starting experience in the perfect situation to reset his career. So yes, Joe, my future is uncertain, and I've made peace with that. I hope Carolina is my long-term home, but if it's not, I'll thrive somewhere else. That's my truth. Panther Nation, Bryce Young just publicly admitted that the Panthers may not pick up his 5th-year option. He just publicly acknowledged that his time in Carolina might be over after this season. He just publicly announced he'd be thrilled to have options in free agency. That is the most damning thing a franchise quarterback can say about his own organization, because it signals to every other team in the NFL, come get me next spring. And it signals to Panthers fans, your quarterback has already emotionally checked out on this franchise. The press conference took a brief pause, and when it came back, Bryce did something unexpected. He addressed the fans directly, and this was the emotional gut punch. I want to speak to Panther Nation for a minute. Because I know there's a lot of frustration out there. I know you've been through it. You've been through Cam getting run out. You've been through the Matt Rule era. You've been through the Panthers being one of the worst teams in the NFL for 5 straight years. And you drafted me with all your hopes. And I have not delivered. I know that. I acknowledge that publicly. But I want the fans to understand. I have given this organization every single ounce of what I have. Every practice. Every meeting, every rehab session, every Sunday, I have never taken a single play off, and what has happened around me, the failed drafts, the coaching turnover, the offensive line issues, those are not my fault. But I still wear the L because I'm the quarterback, and I want you to know, I love Charlotte, I love this city, I love the fans who show up at Bank of America Stadium in the rain and the cold. If it's God's plan for me to be somewhere else next year, I will always cherish my time here, and I will always be a Panther in my heart. That's my promise to you. That moment broke me, because you could hear the emotion crack through his voice. This is a 24-year-old kid who has genuinely tried his hardest, and the situation has just not worked out. And him addressing the fans directly, with love, with humility, with honesty, that was the most vulnerable moment of any press conference in the 2026 preseason so far. Then he stood up, shook Joe Person's hand, walked out, and the entire press room was in stunned silence for a solid 30 seconds. Let me give you my analysis, Panther Nation, because this was one of the most consequential press conferences a young quarterback has ever given. Bryce Young did 5 things in 20 minutes. Number 1, he publicly blamed the Panthers organization for his career struggles with a devastatingly precise list of receipts. Number 2, he publicly held Dave Canales accountable for tonight's offensive disaster. Number 3, he publicly admitted that his 5th-year option is uncertain. Number 4, he publicly declared himself open to landing elsewhere in 2027. Number 5, he had a genuine emotional moment with the fans that will resonate for years. That is a career-defining performance in interview form. Here's what I think is coming. This press conference just accelerated every difficult conversation the Panthers organization needed to have. Dan Morgan is going to have to sit down with David Tepper this weekend and make hard decisions. Do they extend Bryce and commit fully? Do they let the 5th-year option situation play out? Do they start scouting the 2027 QB class now? Because Bryce just made it public that he's aware his time might be up. And once that is public, every other decision the Panthers make this season is going to be scrutinized through that lens. Here's what worries me. Bryce Young just made himself the biggest target in football. Every defensive coordinator in the NFC South, and honestly, in the entire NFL, just watched him admit that he has no offensive line, no receivers, no scheme, and no organizational support. That is free motivation for opposing defenses. That is going to invite even more pressure, more blitzes, more disguised coverages. If Bryce thought his life was hard before this press conference, it's about to get harder.